welcome you to the next session in the module 4, that is rule-based classification. Now what you have is, the next topic that we have is rule ordering schemes. So what is this rule ordering scheme? We'll see. So when rule ordering can be implemented in two ways. One is rule-based ordering and the other one is class-based ordering, which is very much similar to what we have studied. That is your ordered rules and unordered rules. So that is what it is here. So now see one by one what is rule-based ordering actually. So when the rule-based rules are ordered based on the quality measure. That is what we have seen in the ordered rules, correct? So rule-based ordering is nothing but you're exactly equal to, or it is equal to what we have studied in the ordered rules. So here individual records are ordered by some rule quality measures. So this ensures that the classification is done through the best rule covering it. So rule-based ordering will ensure that the classification is done through the best rule which covers that particular record. It has a drawback. So what is that drawback here is, the lower ranked rules are harder to interpret. So the rules which are lower in the order are very harder to interpret. So what do you mean by this here? Why it is harder to interpret here is because what they say is those rules which are lower in the order would be considering the negation of the rules higher than them. The interpretation will be such that the interpretation is like this. So any rule which is lower in the order will consider the negation of the rules above it. Any rule which is lower in the order will consider the negation of the rule above it. We'll take one example and see what is this rule-based ordering exactly tells, or how does it work. Consider the following rules. These are the several rules that I have derived. So here I am having 7 rules in this particular rule set. So now consider this particular rule R4 here. This particular rule R4. This is above this we are having 3 rules, correct? Above this we are having 3 rules. Suppose how am I going to interpret this particular rule here is, so the interpretation goes like this. As I told, I should consider negation of the rules above it. For the rules lower in the order, any of these rules, or even for R3 if you consider also, you will do the same thing. For the rules lower in the order, what you are going to consider is, you are going to consider the negation of the rules above. So what will be the negation of the rule above? If I want to interpret this particular rule, I can tell that a vertebrate which does not have feathers or cannot fly and is cold-blooded, then it is set. And if the aquatic creature is semi, then I can tell it as amphibian. So the interpretation of this particular rule which I had considered, that is R4, goes like this. So this rule clearly says if the aquatic creature is semi, then it is amphibian. But when I'm doing it using the rule-based ordering, what we have to do is, as we go lower down the series in the rule set, as we go lower down the series in the rule set, the interpretation will be done in this way. So the interpretation happens like this. It will consider the negation of the rules above. So in this case, when I consider this R4, what is the negation of it? Negation, how it can be interpreted as, any vertebrate which does not have feather, or if it is not an aerial creature, that is, if it is not able to fly, and then if the body temperature is cold-blooded, and also if it is semi-aquatic, then I can tell it as an amphibian. So this is how the interpretation goes as the rules are listed down the order. Now in this case, this wouldn't be very difficult for us to interpret because we are having only 7 rules, out of which I had considered the 4th rule. Say consider my rule set is having 100 or 200 rules, and I'm consider it is having 200 rules, and I'm considering 188th rule. 188th rule. So then I have to consider the negation of all 187 rules above for interpretation of that particular rule. So this becomes a problem in case of rule-based ordering. So in rule-based ordering, what we are going to do, we are going to list them based on certain quality measure, as we did in the ordered rules in the previous slides. Okay. So the disadvantage here is that those rules which are lower down the series, is very difficult to interpret. Why it is difficult to interpret? Because we have to consider the negation of all the rules above. Okay, so this is about your rule based ordering. Now let us consider what is class based ordering. What happens with respect to class based ordering? Here in class based ordering, the rules that belong to the same class, we will cluster them together and put them together. So in the previous case, in the previous example, when you have seen here, the rules all are jumbled, right? I mean, the class all are jumbled. I'm having birds here, a bird here, mammal here, amphibian, reptile, fish, amphibians. So these are jumbled. Why is it so? Because we have considered accuracy or coverage or whatever it is, and the different measures that we have, and we have listed this rule. But in class-based ordering, what we do is the rule that belong to the same class, we will put them together first, and then we are not considering about the among the particular group. We will not consider the relative ordering. Okay, so consider I have three rules which covers the class bird, and now I'm going to put those three rules as a one group, and among in that particular group I'm not bothering about the order in which it is listed. It can be in any other, because however it anyhow it is going to cover the class bird, so I'm not going to bother about the ordering within the group. First, what we are going to do, based on the class, we group them together, because the rules several rules belonging to same class will be put together in one group. This is what it means, class based ordering. Okay, and then based on the class information, what we are going to do is we are going to sort them out. We are going to sort them out based on the class information that they have. So what is this sorting? When I say sorting here, now consider this example, and I'll explain with respect to that example. Here we also have drawback. So what is that drawback is? There is a chance that higher quality rule may be overlooked in favor of the inferior rule. That is because we are going to sort it based on the class information. Sort it based on the class information. So this is what is class-based ordering. So in class-based ordering, what we are going to do, we are going to group together all the rules which belong to a particular class first. Within the group, we are not bothered about the ordering. That is the second thing that you need to keep in mind. A third thing that you have to keep in mind is sorting of the rules. The sorting will be done based on the class information. Now, what is that? I'll tell with respect to an example. So because this sorting is happening with respect to class information, we are going to get this drawback. What is that drawback is? A higher quality rule may be overlooked in favor of the inferior rule. Now consider this example. So this example, here what I've done is the same rule set of 7 rules which I considered for a rule-based ordering, I've considered here. What I've done here is, I have, if you see here, first 2 rules belongs to birds, second 2 rules belongs to amphibians, where the last 3 rules, 1 belong to mammal, reptiles and fishes. I have put them, I have grouped the rules that belong to a particular class together, and I have sorted it. Now, what is that sorting based on classification, class information means here? What is that means is, I say I have the class birds, I have amphibians, I have mammals, reptiles and fishes. Now what I do is, since I have grouped them together, now I'll see which class is frequently repeated in the training set. Now don't compare these rules with the training set given earlier. This is, say, consider these are the rules for a separate training set. Okay, so don't compare whatever I'm going to tell now, don't compare it with the rule set that was training set that was given earlier. Okay, so this, say, consider these are the rules derived for a separate training set. Okay, so now what is that sorting based on the class information here is, why did I put birds first here? I could have put amphibians first, no? Or I could have put mammals here and then birds, I would have taken it down. Or I could have taken reptiles up and then take these amphibians down. Or take fishes to the first and put birds to the last. So all this can be done, but how it has been done here is, after grouping the rules which belongs to a particular class together, I will take a class and find its vote. I will take the class and find its vote. So what I did is, I came to know that there are 5 classes: birds, amphibians, mammals, reptiles, fishes. I took birds and compared it with and checked the vote of birds, that is frequency of birds in the training set. I found that birds is frequently repeated in the training set. So I listed them first. Then what I did is I found that amphibians are the next, comes next in the frequency. So I listed them second. Then among mammals, reptiles and fishes, I found that mammals is more when compared to reptiles and fish in the training set. And here this training set is not the training set which I've given earlier. This is for a separate training set. Consider it, I have a separate training set and I've done this. Okay, so that is how the sorting is done using the class information. So this is similar to your unordered rules, correct? So this is similar to your unordered rules, because in the unordered rules also we were considering vote, that is the frequency of the class that is appearing in the training set. Here also we have done the same thing, correct? So this is about your rule based ordering and class based ordering. So in case of rule based ordering, what we were doing, we were listing it according to some measures, and based on that, higher ranked rule will be considered first and then will be assigned as a class. So there the problem or the drawback was interpretation of the rules present lower in the order. So the rules which are present lower in the order would be interpreted as the combination of negation of the rules above it. So as the number of rules in the rule set increases, the rule in the lower the order becomes harder to interpret. That is the disadvantage in rule based ordering. So in class based ordering, what we were doing, so we are going to group the class which belongs to a particular we are going to group the rule which belongs to a particular class first. Relative ordering among the group is not necessary. We need not consider it. That means what do I mean by that is, here I have 2 rules which belongs to birds. So why can't I list this first and then this, or why have done in this way? So that is what I meant. Relative ordering among themselves within the group is not necessary. We need not consider it. I can list either this R2 first and then R1, or in the way in which I've done here. Okay. Now, what is the drawback here? The higher quality rule may be overlooked with respect to the inferior rule. So what does that mean here is, say consider this rule R5 is more accurate when compared to the R1 listed here. This rule R5, say consider it is more high, its quality is very high when compared to the quality of this rule R1 here. But because this class based ordering tells that based on the class information, based on the vote of the class you list it, I have done it in this way, which means the higher quality rule is overlooked with respect to the inferior rule because of the class information. So that is what the drawback here. So even though this is a high quality rule, but I have to follow the class based ordering, which tells that take that class, uh, take those rules which belongs to a class whose frequency is high, list it first. Take those rules which belongs to a class whose frequency is high and list it first. So that is what is your class based ordering. So this is about your rule ordering schemes that we have. Okay. Thank you, students. If you have any doubts or queries or for feedback, you can write back to me. Thank you. Thank you, students. If you have any doubts or queries or for feedback, you can write back to me. Thank you.